What if civilization started over? Episode 3. So let's just get straight. So what we saw in the last episode was... Okay, let me first make a recap. So what we saw in the last episode was these two nations break away from the red team and the massive expansion of the red team, and also more exploration and the discovery of Andalusia and the creation of this country right here, and the rebellion of England from the red team. So now with that out of the and also the expansion of Italy in the Balkans and Greece and Carthage too. With that out of the way, let's just jump straight into it. So the first thing we're going to see is red team explorers. Red team ships explore massively in these areas, as England will be exploring mostly north, discovering this island right here. As the red team plus England, they will do one thing, one one combination, one coalition to fully explore this coast, as they wanted to see what is here, and they will discover the island of Ireland, as they will expand into Ireland greatly, as the red team will make a small colony in Ireland, which this is gonna take for them. It's gonna take some time to access that colony, as they have to go all the way from there. It's either they're gonna go from the main port to the island port. And also, I made a religion layer, so yeah, this is the religion layer, so please do. So this is what the religion layer is, and this is what it's gonna forever be. As yeah, and I also made trade routes, as the trade routes look like this. Back to the video. So now we're going to look at Andalusia right here. As last episode, Andalusia, I said that this colony of Andalusia is not like a normal colony, as this colony of Andalusia is a colony that was forcefully taken by the Andalusians, as the main parts of the colony were forcefully taken from the indigenous people of this area. So as I was saying, this territory right here is not an actual territory of the Andalusian state, as this area used to have many two and two nations that used to be here. But with Andalusia forcefully conquered these countries, and now that these countries were given now that these people were given Andalusian armor and weapons to fight in wars, and they were taught how to make Andalusian armor and weapons, we're going to see a rebellion form up in this area. To see a large Moroccan population here declare independence from the Andalusians, as this population is very non-Andalusian, as both of these revolutions are separatist rebellions, as we're going to see this rebellion rush to capture this major city, and this brown rebellion will also encircle the colonial capital of this area, which is this, and they will start they will also manage to start a siege of the colonial capital, which is pretty big, and that's as they are now gonna focus mostly on connecting up to their main force here. As this is all happening, the Andalusians are not really fighting here. This major city is greatly protected. They're not really fighting. This is like colonial army fighting this area. But now we're going to see a large amount of Andalusian troops come in. And the last year, as the Andalusians did not expect this from happening, as the Andalusians will start fighting this area. But what will happen is that since most of the areas are under siege and are pretty already captured, especially here, we're going to see the colonial capital be captured. We're just going to see the Andalusian retreat into a massive a large amount of troops stopping right here, as they will stop here and protect this area with their lives, as this purple rebellion right here will fight, as we're going to see this purple rebellion rush to capture this territory right here, which this territory was pretty easy to capture because it was mostly desert, nothing too big. As we're also going to see them manage to move in and capture this territory right here. So this will be the full on what these nations will capture. So let's look at this peace treaty. This will be the ultimate peace treaty, as the Andalusians right here who claim a large, as the Andalusians right here will be absolutely furious, but this country will be the most furious, as they wanted this area and this entire part of Andalusia. That's the part where they say core territory, and I'm going to make a new layer. I'll show you that layer now. We're going to see this country make a very absurd claim. They claim all of this area, which makes sense, but also all of mainland Andalusia. The only area they don't claim is this area, and the new layer that I made is the claims layer. So before we look at other things in Europe, we're going to look at a new area here. We're going to look at this area right here, as we're going to look at a nation that was formed here a long time ago, like the same time when the red team was being formed, as this country is pretty old, as this country will expand a lot, as they will also discover a new nation right here, as these are going to be the Chinese country. The third nation will be this Zionist nation right here, which is a very developed nation, as this nation is much more developed than the south right here, as the leaders of these nations will link up through one scheme of the entire coast. But this is not the only area that has civilization. I'm going to just put it down. Okay, I saw where it is. As this area too will also have civilization, and this is not in anywhere near the Chinese nations. This is the middle area. This is India, which we're going to also see a country in Bengal form up, and these nations will be as we're going to go back to the Chinese nations, as these Chinese nations will expand greatly, as we're going to see these nations expand so much that we're going to see the first nation here, which this nation is definitely most likely one of the strongest Chinese countries, as these Chinese nations will expand more in mainland China, and also the Blue Nation, which is the most unstable and the most, will expand greatly to, and then this country right here will expand here into this peninsula, which I do not know the name of. But back to the main area, we're going to go to Sweden, as Sweden right here is not a really good nation right here, as Sweden is a country, and it's one of the most it's a very bad nation to live in for one reason and one reason only. The Swedish the Swedish population is one of the most racist populations in the entire world. As Sweden thinks, okay, since we are the best population in the entire world, and they think that the area that is most great in is this main area right here, as we're going to see a large sum of nation break away from because of this, not a large sum, a nation break away because of this exact thing. What we're going to see here is a very big independent, very big Norwegian independent group, as it's gonna move out, and these populations, the Swedish population is going to say to the leader that, okay, we are much better than these people, just let them create their poor nothing non for good nation, and that's gonna lead to the independence of Norway. So let's look at this nation. This will be the peace treaty, as Sweden will split up with from Norway, which will really make the Swedish population will be happy about this, as they call these people are mostly Swedish slaves, as this area, as you can see, had two major cities. That means it was the poor area. The people from this nation was pulled and taken to the major cities and the agricultural areas to make more things. So now let's look at more expansion, as we're going to see the Italians right here, which are the most expansionist nations, will expand greatly and discover a new country, as this new nation will be a pretty big country right here, as they will discover it and be very surprised how and this country, if we look at the religion there, is very similar to the religion of the Italians. I don't know why that thing is there, but instead of making it pink, I'm going to change it to light green right here. Yeah, they're very similar to the Italians, as these nations will really start expanding right here, as which will lead to more expansions, which will also lead to the discovery of this country right here, which is Cyprus, and then the Cypriots will be connected to a very new nation right here, which is the nation of Egypt. And Egypt is much more advanced than these nations, as which will lead to these nations, even them to connect up with Egypt, which will also lead to the full discovery of the Mediterranean, which is a plus for both. As now we're going to see, okay, let me turn back on the rivers. As now we're going to see massive expansions, Since these countries has lost a lot of people that they can use as slaves from the east, they'll now have to take a large sum of people from the west, which they'll use the Estonian people right here as slaves. As this will lead to a large amount of expansion, them trying to discover more and more, to claim more and more, and they're gonna discover a big country right here. As this nation will be pretty big, that I will have to pause. This nation is a mostly Estonian population type country, so that will lead to these two nations right here being great enemies, as this country and the Swedish are using their people, and this nation might wanna invade the territory, which will lead, as we're going to see, a large sum of expansion in the east by these nations right here. Also, we're going to see a massive expansion down south of the African coast, and they're going to discover these islands. I think they're called the Canary Islands, yeah. As Egypt will discover more territory, as they're going to end up this, as Egypt actually look like this, which is the biggest extent of any nation ever, as the Anatolians right here will do massive expansions, leading them to fully discover the Black Sea. Okay, back to the Indians, as the Indians will explore more of the main peninsula of India, main semi, whatever the area is called, and also this massive part of Romania will be massively discovered by the nations, which will lead to this part right here to be fully discovered, and we're going to see more Swedish people start massively expanding this area in these areas. And now the last thing we're going to look at is expansion. So I'll be right back. I guess Egypt will expand a little bit more, as this nation right here will expand more in by this river, making that border this river, as we're going to see a Ukrainian nation form from a tribe that was living here, but when the tribe got found, they just decided to form a country. The green team expanded to this side of the river. The red team expanded more this side. The pink team didn't expand. The orange team expanded more on this area right here. And this nation expanded more this side and this side. As Morocco expanded down south, and this country expanded more eastern. Oh, I forgot to do, Norway. Norway didn't expand much though, that's what you should. Norway just expanded to reach this area right here so that they don't get cut off by the Swedish, which that's one thing they really don't want. The Russians, which I'm gonna call these people, which are actually Estonians, expanded to kind of make a small border with Sweden. The Swedish expanded this area, captured more of the Baltics for slaves, and also expanded in this area. So that will end this video. If you also the Indians expanded down south. If you did enjoy the video, please do consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Our goal is to reach 20 subscribers by the end of this week. If I can do that, I will update the viewer as well. And this video is pre-recorded, so thank you for watching and goodbye.